My name is Anthony Cass Clark, and welcome to Thoughts Over Coffee Daily. This podcast is actually a daily podcast covering the daily thoughts of an entrepreneur. This is my guy, James
Jackson. Nice to meet you all. I'm a production researcher at ESPN.
So, guys, you guys said you guys had experience in freelancing out there somewhere, right? So, any questions that you have, please ask.
I mean, I have a question, but it's not about freelancing.
Shoot.
So during the time of unemployment, it gets really depressing, receiving like rejection. It's so how can a person stay motivated during a job search for looking like a new opportunity?
I feel like, I don't know if you would believe me if I tell you this, but during my bout of like that 5-month unemployment period, I got 2 job offers. One was the one that I accepted, and the other was at a law firm I worked at for a week and quit because it just wasn't paying enough to do it. But I think the best phrase that I heard at one point was you only need one. So like even if you're applying for like 100 jobs, you only need one. And so but the thing is though, it's also like not to lie to yourself. It's going to be demoralizing. It's hard. That rejection sucks. I would give yourself an opportunity to like really feel that. Don't deny it. Don't tell yourself that you don't think that. And then you remind yourself though, like, all right, I'm just looking for one. And even if you get like 5 offers, you're likely tops 2, unless you're like working like 3-4 jobs and you're running yourself ragged. But you only need one opportunity, and that's all you have to keep reminding yourself, I'd say.
Right. And I would say also to add on to what he said, you never forget yourself. You're the same person who succeeded before. You're just going through a dark time. You're the same exact person. You still have the equipment. You still have the tools that you need to succeed. You just have to get there. So climb the mountain. You know what I mean?
I think, too, it's like you also like reading and listening to like other people's testimonies. It helps out a lot. Yeah. I watched a lot of TED Talks about people who like struggle with depression or like confidence issues. I realized during that time like the things that I struggle with, like I'm very self-conscious about my smile because I have gaps in my teeth, or like I sometimes don't really like doing public speaking because I ramble a lot. And so I think like listening to like the other things that people are tend to be insecure about, it helps me not exacerbate the things that I might be insecure about, because unemployment's like what, 7-8%, and that's pretty high. But it's like a lot more people are like feeling what you're feeling than you might give yourself credit for, and you never know when that one is going to come through.
And then also, shameless plug, but listen to Thoughts Over Coffee Daily. It's a daily podcast, 5 days a week. I'll pick you up in the morning. Yeah, so any more feedback? It could be a question about anything that you heard today. We just want to talk.
What would you say to a young person who knows that they have talent but don't have the experience to maybe express that on a resume or in an interview? What would you say to them if they're trying to get started now?
Create your own reps, especially depending on what you're in. Like my outlet being media, I have faint ambitions someday of like doing radio or something someday, but that probably won't happen because apparently, like a lot of people say, you got to start young with wanting to do your reps. So like practice in the mirror sometimes. Read, write every day if you can. Like I'm using these as examples that apply to me, but like create your own reps, because like a lot of people come up from creating their own platforms, or like my wife likes to create her own wigs, or some people who create their own apps, like, but starting that stuff with yourself, because one of my favorite writers makes this point that he at some point had to stop having this unhealthy relationship with the idea of working for a specific company rather than being good at a specific thing. So like, sure, I work, sure, just throwing names out there like, oh, I work at Apple, or I work at like Twitter or something like that. Okay, cool. But what do you do? What are you good at? Like, how can you make me better at that? And so for a young person that's looking for those opportunities, I do as much to be like resourceful as possible, especially depending on who they're surrounded by. But I definitely think it starts at creating your own opportunities at home when you can, because then you can still add those things to your resume. I put my website on my resume, And when one of my groomsmen, I asked him to be my reference for work, like, we used our website as a point of reference because all they pointed to were the things we did. You know, whether or not they can look up the URL or whatever, whether or not they can look at the columns and stuff, it's more about knowing what you're talking about than the optics.
Right, thank you.
You
Right.
know, yeah.
I call it wringing the towel out, right? So you got to get every freaking drip of water out that towel. It doesn't matter if you did it at home. Like, I'm trying to give a good example here, but say if you set your own website up, right, and it took a little bit of coding, guess what? You know how to code a little bit. Put it on the resume. Put a little sauce on it. Because guess what? If you get in the door, all you got to do is figure it out now. You got to do it better. That's all it is. So wring every single drip out of the towel, put it on your resume, put some sauce on it, and then learn as quick as possible. Just do it.
And build relationships too. That's also very important.
Very true.
You can do as much as you want when you're at home, but going out, networking, because I'm a firm believer that you never know who knows who.
Exactly.
From my professor to know one of my favorite writers, like, that's where like a huge stroke of luck came in, where it's like I could be as good. I know some people who are more who could be rather better at my job in some respects, or like who know more aspects of production.
It's
So
a fact. People
yeah.
know more people, right? So, for example, I'll speak on my relationship with Black Tech Week, right? So I was going to get some mac and cheese from a food truck, and I ran into Felicia Hatcher, and she said, "Hey, how's it going?" I said, "Great." She said, "Do you still have this and this going on?" I said, "Yeah." And she was like, "That sounds interesting. Let's speak." So we spoke, and then we developed a relationship where we did multiple events together, and now I'm here in New York doing this live show with them, and it just happens like that. Just meet more people, speak to more people, and then I heard a valuable tip the other day. I forgot who said it. I really want to credit them. But a great way to do this is scroll all the way to the bottom of your text messages in your phone, go to the last person that you spoke to, because that means you haven't spoken to them in a while, and just say what's up. Just say, "Hey, how you doing? How's everything going? Let's meet up for drinks," right? And just keep those contacts refreshed. Do it monthly and stay up with people. Anything else? Anybody else?
First of all, you have a nice smile.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Oh, appreciate it.
Oh,
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
You also have a nice smile.
Appreciate that.
Let's like keep the focus.
Okay, all right.
When you were searching for jobs and you were on unemployment, what was the widest or most like out of character job that you applied for?
Oh, that's a very good question. Dog, I was applying everywhere, bro. Vacuum salesman. Man, I don't know, man, dude. I was deep. I was in deep, man. It was like I was, because the thing is I was on Indeed, but then I was also on Craigslist. But I'd say like that, and that's when I was just like, yeah, man, this ain't gonna cut it. I think I was like 23 at the time, and I understand like we're supposed to like struggle to like get to our purpose and everything, and I'm cool with that. But I didn't want to settle for that, because like my mom raised my sister and I like on her own, and you know I'm probably not gonna be like no 8-figure dude or nothing like that someday. But like
Don't put a cap on it, man. Don't put a cap.
No, it ain't 8. Yeah, 8's not 9 though, so you never know. You're right, but like but at the same time, when I sent that, when I like not even when I applied to the job, like when I went to the job, I'm just like, nah, I'm good. But that was probably it, where I'm just like trying to sell stuff, and I'm not with that. No.
But also, don't be afraid to do what you have to do.
Yeah.
To make sure you can maintain your lifestyle.
Well, that was the thing, though. Like, it was all commission. It wasn't.
Yeah,
there was no base. None of that. Yeah.
Because social media entrepreneurs will tell you different. And like, oh, you're not good. Keep doing this. And it's like, bro, I got to pay bills. I want to kick out of my house. Yeah. So if you got to sell vacuums for a few months, sell those vacuums. Get it done.
But that's when I worked at the law firm for like a week, though, and then I just started working online for a little bit until I didn't have to keep doing that unemployment stuff.
Finding your way, right? So continue to find your way. Work hard and get it done. Anybody else?
Should young people who are trying to find their voice in media, so say like 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds, be worried about branding since the internet is so permanent, or should they continue to forge their way into their own selves on the internet?
Well, those go hand in hand. I think you have to have a brand when you're trying to form your voice online, because a brand causes attention, right? And attention is your currency when you're online. So you should be able to create a brand, and there's valuable ways to do that for very low cost, right? So you don't have a graphic designer, but you can go to canva.com, right? They have a free trial version. Well, it's not even a trial. It's a free version that allows you to create your own graphics, access to templates, access to stock photos. There's videos, all kinds of things. You can do that for free, right? So just get out there and brand yourself. It doesn't have to be the best, right? And don't compare yourself to other people. Just make sure that you put out good-looking stuff, and then hopefully attention comes in the other way.
I think the other side to that, though, and I don't know if this is what you might have been alluding to, but I'd also lean to say some people can be so into their brand that it becomes a character to an extent.
Remember, be into your business. The branding helps the business, but you can't just put all your efforts into the brand and then have no business.
Yeah, but I think that might be what you probably are getting at, because I think the latter point, to answer your question directly, is more important. Like what you're getting into, as Anthony said, like the technique being about your business and such. But I'd be more pressed into like what they're actually, the craft that they're honing, because I won't say that the brand will come to you, but the thing that attracts people to a brand is reputable, is good, is distinct, and so that'll automatically come. Like I have one of my best friends. He's great at computers. Took him the longest to open up like his own business in terms of like fixing people's computers and stuff like that. But because he was more into the idea of fixing people's computers than like opening up a business and then just saying like, okay, I have my own business. So I'd say more of the latter though, because the exposure to people who are on different brands or in different platforms and stuff will come as they get older. But by the time that they're 20 though, they got experience doing things and techniques and stuff that other people their age about don't have.
Right. Yeah, I love it. Anybody else? Questions, feedback?
So my question is, on your search and trying to pretty much leave your commission job or get another job before the unemployment runs out, did you find yourself between a rock and a hard place? Like, okay, I have my bachelor's degree. I feel like I have all these qualifications, but should I go to these classes and get more? Should I add on to my knowledge experience? Because, certain jobs is more in demand than my, business administration degree, and I'm trying to get a job in logistics,
I did actually get to that point last year because, like I said, like I went to school for political science. I didn't go for anything in media, communications, journalism, none of those things. So, like, I did start to feel self-conscious as to, like, okay, no one's, like, calling me. No one's really giving me feedback. I don't really feel like I'm that good of a candidate for anything. So I went to a school, like a local joint down in Atlanta, that was doing broadcast classes. And I'm like, okay, I'll get some reps and all that stuff. So when we start talking about the monetary side of it, like, it wasn't expensive, but apparently they didn't do grants and financial aid. So it was just, like, all out of pocket. And I went to my car. I took a deep breath, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not really sure if this is going to be the move. And not because I didn't want to go back to school, but because I'm not sure if I got like 15 G's that I can just like pocket out like that on a whim like that.
But you do have Google.
I do have Google. I also have Walgreens too. So I went to Walgreens and I was getting a Reese's cup. And that's when I got a call for an interview for my current job. And from then, I took a deep breath because I still want to go back to school. I don't think school is like, I don't think it's the end all be all, but I also don't think there's an end game to school at all. Like, if you want to get your PhD, go get that. If you want to get your master's, go get that. I'm personally interested in going back to school to get my degree, master's in sports law. That's what I'm interested in going back in for eventually. But I do believe in going back to school and like learning as much as you can, because I think especially now in media, sports media, any type of media, like versatility is so important now. You have to like know so many different things. Like, as much as I enjoy sports, I don't enjoy sports just because like I want to see like, if LeBron can like score 50 or something. Like
Which you will.
He'll score 50. It's just if they win, it's a different thing. But I enjoy like the socioeconomic aspects of being into sports, and looking at like the racial divides on things, and like things that are like the deeper conversations, the historical stuff you can get into. Because then like last year I learned like the NBA was segregated for 5-10 years. I did not know that it took like 10 years for them to break the color barrier and stuff like that. And so but I don't think that I would be the same type of producer or worker or anything that I am now if I didn't have that previous experience doing political science. So I do think having like varied experience educationally, because not only exposing yourself to the lessons in the books and that you'll be exposed to, but also the people you have conversations with every day.
Right. I think for me, which I only took a few, I think like a year of college or something like that, but I find the value in school, it depends on what you are into. If you're in law, medical, of course, you need school. But I believe that the most valuable thing in school is the relationships, right? It's almost like a think tank. You're there with people who are like-minded like you, who are trying to find the same goals, and those conversations are being had every single day, right? My school was South Beach. Like, I worked on South Beach as a club promoter for, I think, like 2 years, right? It took me a while to figure out I didn't want to be a club promoter. But I found out, people can do marketing. People can actually not do flyers, but do, like, things on Twitter at the time, right? And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I dove deep into that. But it took me a few years to figure that out. Whether if I was in school, I'm surrounded by my peers who are on the same wavelength of me as me, right? And not doing coke like they were doing on South Beach. But next subject. So, yeah. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
The role of internships in terms of learning experiences while you're in school.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do any internships?
I didn't, cause like I won't say I was winging it in school necessarily. I just realized like when I started school wanting to go there for pre-law and realizing like my junior, senior year, I didn't want to do it, and what I was like ad-libbing to want to get into, I didn't know what I didn't really know like the best course of direction with it. Cause at FAMU, and I'm sure other schools have this, but we had like a specific school of journalism where it's like they put you into internships, they put you into respective programs and like certain things that are going to like hone and polish you for when you're graduated and ready to get into the real world. I didn't do internships, but not for a lack of like not wanting to. I just wasn't pointed in the right direction. So like my internships by proxy were freelance writing, like writing for a couple of websites. I wrote for Yahoo for a couple of months, and such like that, like getting my reps in through that. But I definitely found it to be paramount to make sure that I was getting reps and stuff that were not necessarily on a professional level, because then you have people who are telling you like what you're not doing well, what you do well, what you can build your relationships and strengths on. But I wish I did internships.
Okay, we're wrapping up. That's the fiance. You say yes.
Yes. Say yes.
Okay. All right, so we really appreciate you guys for attending, and for if you're listening to this on the podcast, because it'll be out, I don't know when, but if you're listening to this, thank you for listening. This has been another edition of Thoughts Over Coffee Daily. Subscribe, please. Rate, like, share, all that good stuff.
Rate 5 stars. Got it.
All right, I'm coming by to check everybody's phone after this, I promise.
Lead them in the water.
But all right, thanks, guys.